Right now, constituents across the nation are sending Republican lawmakers a message. They are not happy. Outside a town hall event for Kentucky Senator Mitch McConnell, the majority leader in the Senate, people lined up for miles carrying signs protesting many of the Trump administration's new policies. Other Republican lawmakers are also holding town halls later today, including Congressman Ryan Costello of Pennsylvania, Senator Dean Heller of Nevada, Senator Bill Cassidy of Louisiana. They're hoping to avoid scenes like these.
We wreck our economy with regulations.
Last I heard, these coal jobs are not coming back, and now these people don't have the insurance they need because they're poor. And they work those coal mines, and they're sick. The veterans are sick. The veterans are broken down. They're not getting what they need. If you can answer any of that, I'll sit down and shut up like Elizabeth Warren.
The insurance is too expensive. The insurance is... No, let me finish my reply. Let me finish my answer, please. I'm going to answer your question.
When will you be defunding Planned Parenthood?
Are you willing to cross party lines to make things work for everyone in your constituency?
You know, I cross party lines all the time. Last week I was a single.
Most of you want to be poor, or do you want to be rich? Let me not ask questions, because then I like to answer questions.
President Trump weighed in with this tweet. I'll read it to you. The so-called angry crowds in home districts of some Republicans are actually, in numerous cases, planned out by liberal activists. Sad, with an exclamation point. Meantime, President Trump is sending two of his top lieutenants to Mexico. Secretary of State Rex Tillerson will get there later today. He'll be joined there by the Secretary of Homeland Security, John Kelly. They'll be meeting with Mexican President Enrique Peña Nieto, as well as other government and military officials. The relationship between the president has gotten off to a rocky start between the two presidents, the U.S. and Mexican presidents, but Secretaries Kelly and Tillerson are hoping to move past that as they engage the Mexican government on issues like border security, immigration and trade, and, of course, the wall that the president wants to build along the border. House Speaker Paul Ryan, meanwhile, is paying a visit to the U.S.-Mexico border today. The Speaker, along with other Republicans, they're there to view the area as they consider President Trump's promised border wall. The president has tasked Congress with coming up with the roughly $20 billion it's expected to take to build that wall. Let me bring in Congressman Ted Lieu from Los Angeles. He's a Democrat, a member of the Foreign Affairs Committee and the Judiciary Subcommittee on Homeland Security. Congressman, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Wolf.
So you heard the Press Secretary, Sean Spicer, say the U.S. and Mexico have a robust and healthy relationship right now. Do you share that assessment?
Thank you, Wolf, for your question. Before I begin, let me say that Donald Trump is afraid that people are going to watch CNN. You must be doing something right. Thank you for reporting real news. Now, to your question, Sean Spicer is lying again. He said that U.S.-Mexico relations are phenomenal. That is false. There have been large protests in Mexico against Donald Trump's policies, and Mexican lawmakers just introduced legislation to say they're not going to buy U.S. corn. These relations are at one of the worst points in U.S.-Mexican history.
Yeah, I mean, as you know, Secretary Tillerson and Secretary Kelly, they're heading there today. They're going to be having these high-level meetings. Spicer also said it was an important trip, but he pushed back on what you're suggesting right now. He said they're going to try to mend some fences with Mexico, but this is clearly a critical moment in U.S.-Mexico relations right now. I assume you agree.
Absolutely. And sitting on the House Foreign Affairs Committee, this is not the first time this has happened. When President Trump offended the Prime Minister of Australia, we had Republican U.S. senators call the Australian ambassador to try to mend fences. Now we're sending two of our secretaries down to Mexico to clean up the mess that President Trump has already done in terms of relations with Mexico.
The White House says that everyone who is here illegally, undocumented immigrants here in the United States, everyone is subject to removal, but they also now say the new immigration enforcement guidelines are not meant to facilitate mass deportations. Your response?
Having come to the United States as an immigrant, I find the administration's actions offensive, un-American, and cruel. It's going to separate children from their parents. It's going to break apart families. And at least under George Bush, we had compassionate conservatism. This is cruel conservatism, and it's going to lead potentially to large-scale deportations. That is not what is good for America, and I hope that people see what's about to happen and that we stop it.
But the president apparently is letting the so-called dreamers, the children who were brought here as young kids by their parents from other countries, and they've grown up here in the United States. It's really the only country they know. He says that those DACA provisions, as they're called for the dreamers, they will remain in effect. You're pleased by that?
Right. I am, but they could also deport the parents of these DACA students, and I am not pleased by that. And keep in mind, this is all based on an alternate reality of facts. Net migration from Mexico since 2007 has been negative. That means more people, more Mexicans have left America than entered, and studies show repeatedly that immigrants, both documented and undocumented, commit less crimes than people born in America.
Now, let me quickly get your reaction to President Trump's tweet last night that a lot of the unrest at these Republican town halls is being caused by liberal activists. Sean Spicer basically said the same thing in his briefing, saying the anger that the media is showing is not necessarily genuine. What's your response to that?
These protests at these town halls are a continuation of the massive backlash against President Trump starting on January 21st with the Women's March, then the organic protests at various airports. Now you're seeing this at town halls, and I think it's sad that the President of the United States is ignoring the concerns of everyday Americans.
Ted Lieu is the congressman from California. Congressman, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.